kind of wrapping things up here, I wanted to ask one other question. I think you said something to the effect of like, I wish I knew Silicon Valley existed 20 years ago.
Yep.
Tell me more about the thought process behind that.
So I think I ended up here in Silicon Valley by chance because I didn't know Silicon Valley existed growing up in Argentina. The only thing I knew about the US, and I was probably an ignorant back then, and I'm still some kind of an ignorant now, but it's like Miami, and then there's Orlando and Disney World, and then there's nothing, you get to New York, and then mountains all the way through the Pacific. That was my idea of the US growing up. And I started a company in the early 2000s, and I moved here in 2009. So it was like almost 2010, that's when I moved here. So 10 years before I moved here. Had I known Silicon Valley existed, I would have moved here right out of college because I really love what I do. I love this ecosystem. It's unfortunate that my friends and family are back in Argentina, but for what I'm doing and now having a family here, my wife and my kids, I see this as a very special place. So if I knew I wanted to, when I knew I wanted to start a company, someone should have told me, if you're going to start a tech company, move to Silicon Valley.
Is that still, the classic kind of, question of today, right? And Zoom is obviously a facilitator of this because, I could be anywhere right now and you wouldn't know. You see a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge behind me, but I'm actually doing this from the closet of my house, and that's where I can get away from my kids to do this in peace and quiet for a little bit. But what does that look like? And, everyone loves to pontificate about the future of Silicon Valley and, Austin, Miami, all these other things. What is your perspective, having the fact you've been there for a while?
So my perspective is that Silicon Valley still has something special. And for me, I didn't know anything about technology and innovation, and I needed a crash course. So Silicon Valley would have been the best crash course I could have ever gotten. Then to start a company, I think I could start a company in Silicon Valley, in Buenos Aires, Sao Paulo, or wherever. But to understand what world-class looks like, what you get here in Silicon Valley is something that it's hard to get anywhere else.
Yeah, it's something that, for Latitude, we had on our first demo day, we had David Velez on, and, he talked about how, in Silicon Valley, if you want to talk to someone about product growth or, whatever topic, you just cross the street,
Yes.
like that's the reality.
And you have hundreds of people that you can talk to.
Yeah. Well, I do think that the gap is closing quickly. And I think that the whole kind of more decentralized way of working and this remote work and access to people globally, we started Latitude, during the pandemic, and I started reaching out to mentors located all over the world because of Zoom, and it became the normal thing to do. And so that may, in some effect, decentralize the Silicon Valley. I'm also with you. I'm still a believer that there's something special there that is hard to kind of replace, but I do think it's becoming more distributed. And I think that's ultimately a good thing for, global society, right? And opportunities all over the world.
Yeah, oh, I agree.